Not 1 minute. Hey, the first skill we're gonna go over is traction splints. Um, so some indications for using traction splint are femur fractures, which is the biggest one. The note of femur is fractured, there will be a shortened, rotated leg rim. There will be pain, swelling, deformity, and crepitus upon palpation. The patient will probably be protecting the area as well. On the picture to the right is a picture from a real life patient that I've had. The patient was involved in a motor vehicle accident that hit a tree, and the patient injured two long bones in the accident, one of them being the femur. This patient was not placed in traction splint due to us being like 5 minutes away from the hospital. However, this patient was a great candidate for a traction splint, and that would be what a broken femur would look like. Some contraindications for the traction splints are hip fractures, pelvic fractures, and fractures to the lower portion of the injured limb that has the femur fracture in it. If it's open, it's a contraindication as well, and you could use a longboard for that, longboard splint for that. So let's get to the video. I'm Blake Fairclough. I have to do a 15-minute skill presentation video, and I'm going to show you guys how to use the traction splint. So let's get started. First, you're going to recognize that there is a femur fracture, and we're going to check PMS. See if you can push against me. All right. Check pulse and feel. See if you can feel it. What toe am I? Okay. She felt pain. My partner here is going to hold traction on the patient's leg, and going to put the ankle strap on. Alright, patient's leg will be lifted up, and the traction splint is going to go underneath. To measure the traction splint, put it against the patient's uninjured leg, and let's go up a little higher. Good. Alright, and make sure there's no further injuries to the person's leg that already has the femur fracture. First strap to go on will be this strap up here, the top strap. And alright, so that's gonna go between up here. Alright, that's going to be tight and snug. Then my partner here is going to tighten the traction on the patient's leg. Good and tight. Okay, then I am going to strap the patient in from the top to the bottom. Making sure not to place any pressure or straps over the joints. All the straps do not have to be used on the traction splint. And then you'll check PMS again. So, can you push against my hand here? Right, what toe am I holding? Alright. And then you'll again check for pulse. The next skill we're going to learn about is a short arm board. The short arm board is also called the forearm splint. There's many different versions of this board. Some conform to the hand, some is just like a straight orange board with a foam cushion on top and a wooden board at the bottom. Indications for this board include deformities, pain, crepitus, swelling to the injured area. To use it, make sure you stabilize the area before putting the board on, and you check PMS before and after the use of the board. If there is not a pulse upon checking the first round of PMS, you have one chance to adjust it to ensure that you get a pulse. If not, please splint adequately and consider the patient's pain and swelling as well. And contraindications for this board, for this type of short arm splint or short arm board, or whatever kind of splint you're using, there's no contraindications for it. If it is uncomfortable for the patient, you are able to use a sling and swath, which will be discussed in the next video. Hey, now I'm going to do a splint on the forearm with the short arm board. So, for started, let's go ahead and we're going to check PMS again. Let's make sure she has a pulse, my patient here. And we're going to check motor, see if you can spread your hands out. And sensory, see if can you feel. Alright. So, lift her arm up. We'll make sure to stabilize the arm there. Put the padded side of the board against the patient's arm. So, measure the board appropriately to the patient's arm. This is going to lay over top of it, and I am going to release it on my leg right here for right now. So, we're going to wrap, hold that right there. This around it. So we're going to hold the traction, not traction, but the arm board to the patient. It's going to be tight, nice and tight, right? Just a moment. So in addition to using roller gauze, you can also use triangle bandages, tie them efficiently so it'll hold the board. Any straps work, great. Alright, just make sure you tuck it in, or tape it, whichever one you prefer. And the patient, ask the patient to hold a roller gauze or something in their hand. Holding the gauze releases the muscles that will tighten up around the fracture site. Ask the patient if that is comfortable. If not, you can always sling and slough it, which I will show you guys later. That's comfortable there. Alright, and don't forget to do OPQRST with the patient as well, and check PMS again. So you'll check for a pulse again, as well as sensation and circulation in the arm. Movement. Yeah. Movement in arm. The next skill we're going to discuss is the sling and swath. The sling and swath involves a sling to support the elbow and the forearm, as well as a swath that goes around the body and the arm. This is used for clavicle fractures and shoulder injuries. Some things to look at for this will be the pain, the swelling, and the crepitus, as noted in the short arm board splint or the forearm splint. And this can also be used to assist in the comfort of the short arm splint. As discussed earlier, you could combine the short arm splint and the sling and swath to help support the patient's arm if they find it uncomfortable. Some of the contraindications for the sling and swath will be, well, there's not any, but some patients might experience discomfort with the sling. And if they do, you can always put a roller gauze around or between the knot and the patient. Just make sure you sustain the right amount of comfort for the patient as well as for the injury. So let's watch the video. Alright, so this time I'm going to show you guys how to sling and swath. So it requires 2 triangle bandages. I like to tie a knot in one of my triangle bandages to create the area for the elbow to go. Alright. So just underneath the patient. This can be used to hold up a already bandaged arm, like with an arm board, or for the clavicle if there's an injury there. This relaxes the muscles, like putting the roller gauze in the arm sling, the short arm board, goes around the patient's neck. Sorry, patient. tie it up tight. Alright. And then the sloth goes around the patient. To hold the arm. Make sure you check OPQRS. Do OPQRST and PMS before and after it is placed. This is my skills checkoff list. Basically, if they performed the skills right or wrong. The critical failures include not checking PMS before and after splinting, and make sure they assess the patient properly, checking for an OPQRST sample, DCAT BTLS, any of the trauma assessment, and make sure the patient demonstrates the knowledge about splinting and the process and appropriately choosing the correct type of splint for the patient. Some of the skills checkoff includes like assessing for injury, like I stated, PMS, and selecting the right size. Thank you. Thank you for watching my skill presentation video. We have reviewed the traction splint, the short arm board, and the sling and swap. Always remember to check PMS where CMS is still referred to it, and always remember OPQRST for each patient who is experiencing pain or any injury. Thank you, and subscribe.